Howdy YouTube. This is my first video here. I have been doing TikTok for almost a year, and a good portion of it has been book talk, just because I'm a book lover and I love it. But I have also decided that this summer I have a massive garden, and my husband and I are in the process of teaching ourselves how to homestead with the hopes of owning our own place and how to preserve and keep the things that we are growing, because our current economy is so expensive that it's just crazy. But also there's things in my food that I don't like, and there are expenses and food dyes for reasons I don't understand. So Season of Taste is a channel that is basically going to be about my husband and I's lives on how we are trying to save as much money as possible without eating out all the time. That doesn't mean that we don't, that we're not wanting to be with society or any of those things. Those are all fine, but we want to live in the country and we want to be self-sustaining. Our country was based off of people who came here from somewhere else and dealt with the hardships of getting to where they needed to go, and then had to grow, find, save all their own food. Now, we don't have to do it quite as hard as they did, thank goodness. But at the same time, I know how expensive it is to go buy a freaking tomato. Like, tomatoes are ridiculous. We live out in North Carolina. We're about 30 minutes from Raleigh, and we would like to try to stay somewhere close in the area. The year before last, we decided we were going to put our big kid pants on and started looking for houses. But our one stipulation is that we wanted to have some land. At a bare minimum, we would like to have an acre, because with an acre, we can at least have chickens and maybe a goat or two and still have a large garden that is not all of our yard, is those things. There's only 3 of us, my husband and I, my 7-year-old stepson who's here every other weekend, and currently my 22-year-old is also living with us, which is fine. So we have 3.5 people, give or take. And when I plan things, I plan for 4, sometimes 5, because inevitably there's almost always somebody else here. And my husband's best friend lives like not even 10 minutes down the road, and he has a family of 5. So when I cook and I do things, I always make sure that there's extra, but also I want extra so I can put it back. But when we started looking, what people were like, the prices here in our neck of the woods have skyrocketed, because the Triangle, which is where Raleigh is a new area that they are really trying to make like the new Silicon Valley. If you are into tech, they are here. We have 2 Red Hat buildings, 2, and one has been in the Triangle for about 10 years, and the second one has just recently opened in a smaller town called Holly Springs that is now exploding. And so all the rural is starting to become less rural, and we still want to live rural, but we were looking and finding that to get an acre of land, even with a double wide on it, was going to, at the bare minimum, be $350,000. And that's the base price. And out here they have something that I'd never seen before, where when you put your bid in for a house, they also suggest that you add some extra money that goes right to the seller as an incentive for them to pick you over someone else. So if the house was $350,000, they tell you 3 other people are bidding on it. People were bidding an extra $20,000 over what the house is worth, plus another $2,000 to $3,000 of incentive money that just went to the seller. And I just can't do that. I can't justify that. We have money set away that is just for the down payment of our home. If we were to give that money away to a seller, we would have less money for the down payment of our home. And the reality is that when you buy a home, it is supposed to be so that you can live a more relaxed life, that you're not paying as much, in rent Now, don't get me wrong. Right now, we rent a 2,400 square foot home, and it is on literally just shy of an acre. And we're paying $1,750, and that is cheap. And we found it because my realtor, who also happens to be my client, I cut hair for a living, is fantastic, and he was super helpful. I don't know if I would have been able to find it on my own. My neighbors are cows and some donkeys. We are lucky, but I don't want to rent. If I had a mortgage, would it be $1,750? Do you see where I'm going? The whole point of owning a home is to make sure that you can have a little bit more money in your pocket. But what we were looking at, and we looked for 4.5 months, was putting us right back at what we are paying right now, or even more, which isn't affordable. And the whole point is for it to be affordable. So we decided that we were going to stop and we were going to save our money. But in the process of doing so, I had already been canning for a couple of years, just not at the level that I am now. I had already been gardening for a couple of years, just not at the level I am now. We know we want to do that. So that's what we're going to do. And this channel is about us. We're real people, okay? And not just real people. My husband's country. So you're going to see him being a goofball. He and his friends are having a good time on the weekend, and, the kids are running around on four-wheelers, and I'm trying to figure out how he jackrabbited whatever this is together that he's done. He's great, though. He does construction for a living, and he knows a little bit of everything, which is handy. But I wanted to have a platform where I could just show us in real and what we do. On TikTok, I post a lot of videos about books because I love books and I read constantly. But I also have recently, in this last year, started posting a lot of books about preserving and cooking, and I do a ton of that. And I hope that you come on the journey with us and see where we are.